Hello and welcome to the Telegraph Studios, where today we're talking cyber security. With me is Scott Zoldi from FICO, where he is Vice President of Analytic Science. Scott, are we lagging behind the hackers?
Yes, we're absolutely lagging behind, and you can see that through all the news around data breaches today. In fact, the credit card that you have in your wallet is probably better protected than your actual organization.
What's wrong with our current approach to cybersecurity then?
Today, the current approaches rely primarily around signature-based methods. These are methods that look for a particular signature of a piece of software or a chain of events, and then determine that an event happened and brings to analysts to work. The challenge with that is that it generates a lot of false positives, and we need an analytic to come in and to prioritize the cases that truly matter and have the cyber analysts work at those cases first.
We often hear the comment that, I'm too small to be attacked. Should small enterprises be concerned?
Small enterprises should absolutely be concerned. Today it's estimated about 80% of cyber attacks are against small enterprises. In addition to that, about 50% of those that get breached end up going bankrupt within 6 months.
What's your definition of a small enterprise?
Small enterprises are generally going to be below 500 people.
So what are the common misconceptions?
There's three that are really common. One is around the concept of a perfect shield, where you build more and more tools to monitor the perimeter of your organization. That just doesn't exist, and cyber criminals come in. A second major misconception is that you're not already breached. It goes in line with the perfect shield, that you feel that don't recognize that you're probably already breached and being exfiltrated. The third major misconception is around an over-reliance around a technique called signature-based methods. Essentially what these methods are is they describe the exact sort of trajectory or types of rules that describe a particular piece of malware and a particular way that malware attacks your organization. The challenge with signature-based methods is that the cyber criminals will change it very slightly, and it gets missed by those set of rules, and it comes straight through into your organization.
In your world of fraud, you analyze millions of customers, billions of transactions. Is it really possible to manage it all?
Absolutely. So we leverage a technique called behavioral analytics, and we've been using that for the last 25 years in our fraud solutions. It focuses on understanding the transactions associated with the entity, looking at that history of transactions and understanding what recurs in that transaction history, and to determine what's typical and normal behavior from that is transactions that would be potentially not consistent with that, and those would be classified as abnormal.
So what are the main questions an enterprise should ask itself when it's preparing a cybersecurity system?
So one of the really important ones is to make sure you're dealing with the basic vulnerabilities first. 90% of all cyber attacks are focused on very basic measures that need to be remedied, such as having strong passwords, proper VPNs, and authentication. From there, one needs to move away from rules-based and signature-based methods to using an analytic to prioritize the most risky cases. And finally, a formal information strategy around sharing that threat information across the industry.
How can you build a system that learns as attacks morph? Is there an effective defense against zero-day threats?
There is, and that's a key difference with this behavioral analytics. We're not looking for a signature, a set of rules that describe an attack, because we know that that's how the cyber criminals morph and change the attack patterns. So we focus on that behavioral analytics to monitor all the entities within your organization, understand what the normal activity looks like, and then to be able to detect that abnormal transaction activity. And we can do that independent of what the signature was that was used to enter your organization.
It sounds like it's all technology here. Is that the case?
It's not. In addition to technology, one needs to wrap around a set of analysts that are working the cases, and the most important cases. And there also has to be an active information sharing policy, such that as your organization works through new threats, they share that across the industry to better the entire cyber ecosystem.
These hackers seem pretty well resourced, so are you optimistic about the near-term future for cybersecurity?
I'm very optimistic. Where we are today in cybersecurity is the same place that we were 25 years ago in card fraud. At that time, the banks were dealing with a card fraud problem that was spiraling out of control. We had many different signature-based, rule-based systems, and armies of analysts that were not being effective at working fraud cases. At that time, FICO brought in the FICO analytic model for payment card fraud. using these behavioral analytic techniques. And over the last 25 years, we've saved tens of billions of dollars for these banks and provided a much better ecosystem for the customers of payment cards.
Tens of billions of dollars, sounds a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Scott Zoldi from FICO, many thanks.
Thank you.